Hi everyone, welcome to another Friday free family project with Studio 23. I'm Autumn, the education coordinator. So today the art piece that I was inspired by was the piece that Tara just showed you by artist Alan Masig. When I look at Al's work, which we've had a lot of in the studio, I see a lot of attention to atmosphere and light, and I see a lot of attention to a painterly style, which a painterly style is really just a way to describe where you can actually see the brush strokes. So the artist isn't trying to hide the brush strokes, they're using the brush strokes to their advantages to create shapes and texture and whatnot to their painting. So that kind of it reminds me of sort of an Impressionist style, which I think there's a little bit of an Impressionist style to Al's work. So that inspired me to create a multimedia piece out of watercolor and crayons. And this is what we're going to be creating today. Al makes a lot of works outside, so I really wanted to make something that is an outside scene. And he uses a lot of color. You know, he includes a lot of flowers and the sky and grass and stuff. So I really wanted to include a lot of color as well. So this is what we're going to be creating today. So let's get started. To start with, I'm going to use just a sheet of, this is white construction paper. You could use any kind of paper, but as I've said previously, because we're using watercolor, you're going to want to make sure if it's just regular like copy paper that you're really just doing like one coat and that's it, so you don't brush right through your paper. Okay, so we're going to get started. Today we want it landscape, not portrait. We want it landscape, okay? And we're going to go in and we're going to get started on the background, which is the watercolor portion. So I got my watercolors, I got my brush. Remember, you want to load up your watercolors with water. That way you can control how dark or how light your paint is going on. All right, so what we're gonna start with is the top third of our paper is gonna be the sky, and the bottom 2/3 is gonna be the ground, the foreground. So we're gonna go right in with our blue, and I'm just gonna make a line. Oops, I'm gonna make a line. And I'm just going to start filling in my sky with my watercolor. And I'm not being especially careful because one, this whole piece has a real painterly style, so we're not hiding our brush strokes at all. But also, you're going to have a lot of other stuff in the foreground. You're not going to need to worry about it. All right, so I got my sky. For the next part, we're going to move on actually to some yellow. If you can look closely, there's some yellow happening right here along the horizon line, and it kind of creates a bit of a triangle shape right here to differentiate between like the background and more of the foreground grass. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit in my water, and I'm going to go into my yellow. Okay, going to go right in and right across where I had my sky, I'm going to do some yellow. But then from there, I'm going to make a little bit of a triangle shape because I want to mix it up a little bit, right? Okay. Pretty easy so far, right? All right, got my yellow on there. And then for this last portion, we want to fill that in with green. So I'm going to go in with some green. And my green's actually pretty mucky. I have a lot of black in my green. So I'm going to actually add a little blue to my green as well. See if I can clean it up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad. All right. And I'm just going to go right in and fill in this last portion with green. All right, good enough. So this is my background that I'm going to be working from. I have my sky and I have my ground back here that's yellow, and then I have my green right here. Okay, so for the next part, you'd want this to be dry. You want to let this dry. For our purposes, for, you know, time constraints, I have another one ready to go, so I'm just going to keep moving on, but you're going to want to let your watercolor dry. Okay, so now I have my background, and I want to start adding all of the plant life that we have going on and the sky that we have going on in our original. Okay, so oops, I'm going to start with the sky. Now for this part, you could use paint if you have it. Paint and actually like a Q-tip would work great, but I was trying to work it out so if you only had like crayons in your house, then you could use those two. So I'm actually going to be using oil pastels, but oil pastels, crayons. Hi Al, how's it going? Oil pastels, crayons, or paint. Any of those would work great for this next part of the project. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add the little, I just created some kind of oval sort of shapes. I kind of almost like made it like a dash for the, I don't know if you can see this here, for the top part. And that's what I want you to start doing. Now I have probably 4 different blues that I have used. Use whatever blue you have. If you're using paint and you want to change your blues, you could add a little white or a teeny tiny bit of black to it, and that will change the shade and the tint of your white, or excuse me, of your blue. So we're gonna go ahead and go in. So for the top half of my blue that I have painted, I'm gonna go in with blue, and then the bottom half I'm gonna save for clouds. All right, so let's see. Technical difficulties. Ooh, I hope it's fixing itself. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make some dashes. With my different blues. And I'm going to try and keep them on the top half, like I said, of my sky that I painted. And I really just want to fill out that whole, really the whole sky. I just want to get it nice and filled. Now, if you want, you can even kind of add a little more shape to these by just kind of ovaling them out. See how I'm just going back in over top of what I drew, and I'm just kind of making an oval shape over top of it. You can do that too, or you can just leave it as dashes. That is entirely up to you how you want to do it. I kind of like the look of it maybe filled out a little bit, so I'm going to kind of turn mine all into ovals. All right. So I have the top part of my sky done. I'm going to move on to that bottom half, and I'm going to just use some white. Now, as you see, I got kind of crazy with it, and some of my blue made its way down here, but that's absolutely fine. It's just going to end up blending right in. So I'm going to do the same exact thing on this bottom half all the way along. I'm going to make those dashes, and I'm probably also going to turn them into those oval shapes. But I'm just going to use my white, because this is the portion of the sky that I really want to look cloudy. I think this is maybe a more of an overcast day in the picture, so I really want it to start looking like we have clouds in the sky. And if you want, some of that white can even go right in over some of the blue that you have. That's fine. But I'm going to keep scribbling. I want to really fill in my paper with these kind of scribbly ovals that I'm kind of making here. And this is how I'm mimicking Al's a very painterly style. This is how when he paints, you can tell that he uses a brush stroke to, and it looks like he's on, so he can probably tell you a yes or no, but it looks like he takes advantage of the shape of the brush and creates a very painterly style with it. All right, so I got my sky. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the yellow portion of our ground, okay? And I'm gonna use the yellows that I have. Again, with the yellow, if you only have one and you wanna mix it up, try adding some white to your yellow. And you can also try adding just a tiny, tiny bit of a darker color, like maybe an orange or a red or something to change it up, okay? So this time we're gonna go in and we're gonna do kind of the same oval scribble shapes right where our yellow is, okay? And I'm gonna go right in, and just like before, I really wanna fill in a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of what I've painted, excuse me, with these quick, scribbly shapes. Now I'm gonna go in with a little bit lighter yellow, because I think if I can change it up, it's just gonna make it look that much more interesting. And see how nice and quick that goes? I thought that would be really nice. This could be a really quick project. Very nice. Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. Okay, so now what I'm actually gonna do also is I'm gonna have some of that yellow that I just made bleed down into the green grass in the front here, just a little bit. But I'm gonna do it the same exact way we've been doing. I'm gonna just do those really quick yellow oval scribbles, okay? Keep going with another yellow. All right, got my yellow portion done. Now I'm going to move on to that green grass that we're seeing in the front along the side, okay? Now for that, we're gonna go in a different direction. We're going to actually do vertical lines for that, okay? Just so we can mix it up a little bit so you can tell it's not the yellow, maybe hay or whatever this is supposed to be in the background. We're gonna do it vertical. Go wild, right? I'm trying. All right, so I have 3 different color greens. Use whatever greens you have, whatever greens you want to use. And remember, you can always add, like I said, the white or maybe some blue to the green to change it up, okay? If you only have one shade of green. All right, so we're just gonna go for it now. We're gonna, just like Al said, we're gonna go wild with it. So I'm gonna start with this green that we have over here in this area, and I'm gonna move my way down and across the front, okay? And I'm just gonna do vertical scribbles, but I'm gonna go crazy with it, like Al said. I'm gonna go crazy because I'm having fun. This is actually pretty fun and pretty relaxing. So this would be a great project, maybe even for moms and dads or grandmas and grandpas to do with their young ones, because it's actually pretty fun and pretty relaxing. All right, got some green. Let's see. I'm gonna add some other greens just to add a little interest. More of my vertical lines. And then I'm gonna do some right across the front here. And I'm going to add some of my light just to mix it up a little bit, my light green. But because, even though I'm going really wild with it, because I'm doing these vertical strokes and it's green, you can tell that it's supposed to be grass, right? So it works in my favor. Kind of like the painterly style that Al uses. All right. And I think that is good enough for me for right now. For the last step, because my field, well, not the last step, the next step, because my field has flowers, we're gonna add those red marks that you see kind of in the middle here, okay? And that's simply gonna start up by our horizon line, okay? It's gonna meander down and around towards this bottom corner. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine though. If you want yours to look a little different, go for it. So I'm gonna go in, but this time I'm gonna go back to my horizontal ovals that I kind of scribbled, and I'm gonna take a red. I have a red, orange, and I have a red, and I'm just gonna go back and forth. Red with those would pop out on the greens being there. Yep, red, that's exactly why I'm doing it. All right, so I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna take my red and my red, orange, and I'm gonna make some of those horizontal scribbles. And I'm actually kind of following the line of the yellow. If you want to do that, feel free. And if not, you know, you want to do what you're doing on your own, that is great too. Maybe you'll do something that I haven't even thought of. All right. All right. And since down here would be a little closer, I think my scribbles are going to start to become a little more vertical down at the bottom, just because if it would be closer to me, I would be able to see what it was a little more. So I just kind of want to give the idea of flowers just a little bit. So just in that bottom corner, I've kind of flipped them around and it's a little more vertical. Just a little way I'm changing it up, but if you don't want to, feel free. Okay, I'm gonna go in a little more with my other red, just to make a little more flowers in our field here, filling it in just a little more. All right. All right, so I got my flowers now. I think this is looking pretty good. You can't go wrong. Exactly, can't go wrong with adding red on top of those. I think you're right. Okay, so then for the last little part, we're gonna do our tree line and then we'll be done. So we're gonna add like some sort of bush-like trees along our tree line, and then we're gonna add just a couple of actual trees, okay? So I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna add, these are gonna be kind of wider oval shapes, and I am going to still scribble them because I want them to look like trees, which, you know, obviously are very organic, right? So they don't have to be perfect. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to scribble 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got some little trees right here. Let's see, maybe I'll do some more right here. Now these are nice and little trees because these are at our horizon line, right? And then, let's see, yeah. And then I think lastly, we'll do some little trees up in the front that are like the deciduous bigger trees. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna use my lighter green, and I'm actually gonna go up in my sky, and I'm gonna do more of these tree shapes that I made, but I'm gonna actually do them up probably right around here. These are gonna be some tall trees, just to finish it out. All right, let's see. And these are just kind of rounded, scribbly shapes. And I think 3 of them is good, so I got those, right? And I know they look like they're floating right now, but we're gonna go ahead and take our black, and you're gonna wanna use the thinnest part of your black because we want a really, really thin line. And we're just gonna go in, if you can see right here, and we're gonna make the trunks of our trees, okay? So we're gonna go right in, and I'm gonna make a little V shape, and then I'm gonna make a line going down to our horizon line, okay? Just like that. And that's how we're gonna make our tree trunks. But we want them nice and thin because if this is at the horizon line, they wouldn't look very thick, okay? Same things with the other one. If you want to add, if you want to make it a Y shape, you can do that too and add one more little branch so you can mix them up. Just like that, okay? And I think for me, I'm good enough with this. You could absolutely go crazy with this and you could add so much more. You could add some birds in the sky. You could add maybe some other colors. If you added like some purple flowers and this yellow, I think they would pop. I don't know, what do you think, Al? You think some purple and the yellow might look good? There's so much more that you could do to this. So I say go out and make yourself this Al Masig inspired painterly style drawing. And if you do make it and you'd love to share it with us, as always, we would love to see it. Hashtag Studio23 on the go and hashtag MakeArtVirtual. We would love to see what you guys are working on. And that's it for me today. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And next up we have Val with an end plein air demo. See you later. Bye.